Hello and welcome to an exclusive interview on ET Edge Insights. On today's show, we have Gopal Agrawal. He is the CEO of Anupam Rasayan. And today, Gopal Agrawal will talk about business in the times of changing environment. Right then, we have Mr. Gopal Agrawal with us. Mr. Agrawal, it's a pleasure to host you on ET Edge Insights. Thank you for doing this with us.
My pleasure, as always.
Let me begin by asking you, obviously, the entire manufacturing landscape is undergoing a huge transformation, be it in automation, supply chain, there is geopolitical shocks. So in this scenario, what are some of these critical changes you're seeing in the manufacturing sector, and how does it affect or change the operations of Anupam Rasayan?
See, I mean, the way to kind of look at it is this has to be something which is part and parcel of your thought process or strategy.
Right.
So for us, let's say to begin with, the most crucial thing which we believe, given that we are largely a B2B player, is the investment in technology, in the process, in the R&D. So currently, for example, I would have 90 plus of my scientists who are there in the R&D department. We would have spent more than 50 crores in the last 5 years purely on R&D spend.
Right.
The idea is, basically to be kind of I would say ahead of the curve, in terms of some of the changes. So for example, we have been able to develop a lot of, let's say, process, in terms of flow chemistry, uh, photosynthesis, a lot of, let's say, products which we are doing, basically today, especially in the performance material, are someone which have been developed jointly with the customer. So that's another aspect. What we have started doing, I would say, which we were doing earlier as well. But last 4 5 years, the emphasis has more on kind of a co-development along with the customer,
Right.
wherein we are ensuring that our R&D and customer R&D, both of us are working together to ensure that the products are kind of developed jointly, which would mean that when we kind of get into commercial and all that, there are only so many surprises which are there.
Right.
And two is that, of course, from our perspective, being early on ensures that we are definitely a preferred
Right.
choice from a customer perspective.
Right.
So that's I would say the second part. Third piece would be, of course, the ESG. I think that's something which has been, I would say, used to be, let's say, a buzzword, a while back, but now it's something which is clearly in practice,
Right.
both by us as well as by, I would say, to a large extent by our customers for sure, but even some of our suppliers as well.
Right.
So you got to ensure that you are kind of doing, enough and more on that.
Right.
Last bit I would say also is sustainability, wherein we, for example, have again uh, ensured that today 90% plus of my supplies are sourced locally, which ensures that there is enough and more sustainability,
Right.
in the overall operations from a long term perspective.
Right.
I would say these are some of the levers, which have really helped the cause.
Right. Right. Mr. Agarwal, my next question, what I was going to ask, you have more or less answered that. So I'll just tweak it a bit. Uh, when we talk about competition, in today's market, there are so many players. So what is the USP of Anupam Rasayan?
So I think, as you rightly said, we spoke about the technology edge
Right.
for sure. We spoke about ESG.
Right.
I would say another thing as well, which we did, is also a bit of diversification. So what we did is that while we have been largely an agrochemical player, we basically ensured enough and more resources and efforts towards developing some other segment.
Right.
So off late we have got into personal care, we have got into new age performance material, which I was talking about, and I have got, let's say, a lot of business, which today I'm sitting on, is mainly on account of those. I have also diversified in pharma, for example.
Right.
So today, let's say this year, between pharma and the new performance material, we are expecting close to almost one third of my revenue, would flow from there.
Right.
Which only means that one, while I'm growing naturally, at the same time on the increased numbers, you will have one third of sales
Right.
coming from some of my newer, let's say, molecule or newer product.
Right.
So that something kind of really played for. The second thing which worked, which we were kind of trying to do, is also geography-wise diversification. We largely had our base more, I would say, in Europe, but then we tried and diversified into Japan. Today, I'm happy to say that almost 18 to 20% of my revenue comes from Japan, we are trying to do a similar stuff, let's say with US as well. And the way I mean things have kind of working out, we could easily have a 10% plus sales, coming from US this year alone. And then again going forward, Japan and US would be,
Right.
obviously our kind of a growth driver. So that's, I would say, from a strategy perspective. One another thing which we kind of looked at developing from a long term perspective was also a decent bit investment in backward integration. So as you would be aware, we acquired 10fac 3 years
Hmm.
back. That basically give us a lot of edge, on the fluorination side.
Right.
Today almost I would say 50% of our newer molecule have that element of fluorination in it, which is clearly an edge, I would
Right.
say, compared to some of our peers. While we had enough and more development going for us, but then not having that backward integration basically ensured that the customer was saying, okay, you have the product, you have developed it,
Right.
but yeah, for us to commit long term, maybe you want to come back once you have secured the supply side of it
Right.
from a long term sustainability part of it.
Right.
So I would say, yeah, these are some of the additional kind of let's say factors
Right.
which have helped us in terms of probably kind of let's say preparing a little better
Right. Right.
than some of our peers.
Right, right. Very nicely put forward. Uh, Sustainability, again, that is something you already touched upon. So I'm just going to ask you about, the environmental norms globally has become stricter. I mean,
Sure.
uh, especially for corporates. And nowadays, as you've rightly discussed, it's no longer, an option. It's a norm. But then having sustainability in your organization or incorporating, there has to be that culture within the organization. So how do you bring in that culture of sustainability within your employees?
I think again you are bang on. See, sustainability is something which you got to, I would say, practically practice every day.
You're right.
It's part of our board meeting, it's part of our management meeting. More importantly, it's part of our discussion on day-to-day operations. So just to give you some pointers, for example, let's say we decided to embark on this whole journey of saying that we will have most of our energy coming from green source, whether it is solar or wind.
Right.
I can say today, by the year end, we will have 2/3 of our energy, which would be green.
Right.
We have gone ahead and declared that by 2027, 100% of our energy would be green.
Right.
So that's one piece. Our plants are basically designed to ensure zero liquid discharge, which means that we don't discharge any ounce of water, out of our plant. That's another piece of it. Third, which I was saying, that some of this newer innovation which we are doing. See, we are doing a bit of a marriage of let's say multiple things. Any capex which we are doing, is ensuring that it also is environment compliant. And what I mean by that is that the processes are designed in such a way that yes, you are generating least amount of waste. The lower you
Right.
generate, the lower you need to treat or you need to recycle. So yeah, what we have started kind of doing it is that at the beginning itself, when we are doing the capex, it's part of our kind of let's say planning, to ensure that we keep some of these aspects in mind,
Right.
and thereby able to kind of achieve it. I would say much better than trying to say, okay, let me just put the capex, let me get the product in, and then I will start thinking about
Right.
it. So whether it is in terms of process, whether it is in terms of capex, whether it is in terms of day-to-day operation, we ensure that enough and more kind of a care
Right.
is taken at the beginning itself,
Right.
so that we are able to kind of achieve this in a much holistic manner
Right,
than
right.
trying to kind of do it in piecemeal.
Right, right. How critical is ESG for corporates? Because this is something which still Indian corporates and organizations are implementing, I would say, in a nascent stage. So, but your understanding of how critical is this ESG?
It is critical, and I can only say with whatever we have done so far, the sooner you kind of adapt to this,
Right.
the better you are. As I said, on, for example, on the green energy part. No, see, the sheer fact that we have let's say the target of saying 100% of my energy would be green, it's also giving a lot of, I would say, one comfort to my customer, saying that his supplier. So I'm getting a bit technical. For example, see, that scope one. As long as whatever I am kind of a sourcing is green, I am able to achieve my scope one, what we call target.
Right.
But for my customer, to achieve his scope 3 target,
Right.
I being his supplier also need to be following the
Correct.
let's say the environment norms. So from his perspective, it gives a lot of comfort to him. You have already known, about let's say Europe, which is coming with the the carbon tax,
Yes.
which would ensure that okay, the guys who are not following the environment norms would automatically become either expensive, or the customer would expect him to kind of pay for those tax.
Correct.
So whichever way you look at it, you'll have to kind of eventually forget about the environment part alone, but even commercially, it would become a proposition which you cannot avoid. So that's, I would say, largely on the environment side of it.
Right.
On the the social side of it, see, we currently employ more than 1,700 employees,
That's
and this,
globally.
globally.
Yes.
And these are the guys basically who are eventually ensuring that you are able to kind of deliver, let's say, the product consistently, quality wise, safety wise, and otherwise. So obviously, from our perspective, we also ensure that we are doing enough and more for skill upgradation. We are doing enough and more to take care of their health, safety, and other aspects of it. So yes, this is something which you cannot and should not avoid. I would
Right.
rather say any amount of investment done in this clearly pays for in the long term. And I can tell
Right.
you, lot of our innovation, comes from the guys at the shop floor. They are the ones who are able to kind of come with some, kind of a differentiated thought process, saying, okay, can we look at doing it this way?
Right.
Can we do it differently? It is always a two-way
Right,
traffic.
right.
Because we kind of take care of them, we also get enough and more, I would say, ideas, thoughts, from them. Lastly, on the governance side, again, being a listed company, we got to have X amount of independent directors. But see, the way we have gone about choosing them, just to give you some flavors. For example, we have one of the guy who's clearly a local industry expert. So anything which we want to discuss, with him around what's the environment around, he is someone who's very helpful. We have our another independent director. She is a PhD. So anything on the R&D and technology side, she comes pretty handy
Right.
to help us out. Then we have one of the gentlemen who's basically led, MNC globally. So again, given that we are largely export driven from, there's a lot of expertise which we are able to, or I would say a lot of mentorship which you are able to get beyond the boardroom.
Right.
And that is exactly is what I would always kind of look for. Idea is not to have that board, to just kind of guide you doing the board meeting, but how are you able to kind of take, let's say, help of their expertise or their experience
Right.
beyond the boardroom.
Right.
That is where I guess one would be able to build a lasting impact.
Right. Right. Fantastic, Mr. Agarwal. You have pretty much touched upon everything. The ESG, sustainability, employee well-being. Anupam, Rasayan, looking at the organization, 5 years from now, where do you see it? And as a leader, as the CEO of the organization, what is the kind of legacy you want to leave behind?
So I would say one, very clearly, customer centricity.
Right.
There is nothing which ever, at least for any let's say corporate, can exist without customer centricity. Uh, Customer have been and would always be at the center of whatever we do. You might have kind of observed in last, let's say, 2 years, we have signed close to 15,000 crore worth of contract with our customers.
Right.
Now, these are not something which can happen overnight. These are basically effort. I would say one is the legacy of more than 45 years. Two is the effort of, as I said, our R&D guys, our sales guys, the whole, I would say, company of working together with our customers. So this is something which, has allowed us to have a visibility for next 5 to 7 years
Right.
in terms of what I'm going to produce, where I'm going to produce, how am I going to do about it. So that's one piece. Two, I think we've spoken enough on the R&D and technology part of
Right.
it, so I'm not going to repeat that. Third is basically capex. Again, while all of us would want to, look at doing the capex only once we have order in hand, but trust me, it doesn't work that way. While you are working on R&D and the product approval, which is a cycle which can take anywhere between 2 to 3 years.
Right.
But please appreciate, after 3 years, you can't then tell the customer that wait for another 3 years and then I'm going to do the capex.
Right.
So you have to ensure that you put, I would say, rightful capex. I'm not saying that means that you have unlimited capital and hence you can go ahead and do whatever you feel like.
Right.
You have to do a decent bit of a balance in that. We spoke about ESG for sure, backward integration. I would say some of these things are which can ensure a long-term sustainable growth for anyone, including a company like Anupam.
Right. Right. And of course, your legacy. What do you want to leave behind as a legacy, as a leader?
I would say it's a culture.
Right.
It's a culture of more inclusiveness. It's a culture of allowing, where innovation is something which is very well recognized. It's a culture where employee, and the customer, as I said, a customer externally and employees internally is given enough and more, I would say, respect.
Right.
I think these are some of the stuff which one has to do it, and of course, taking, I would say all the stakeholders around. For
Right.
us, it's customer, employees,
Absolutely.
and shareholders.
Right.
So as long as you are able to kind of strike a right balance, I think growth is something which is there for you.
Right.
To catch.
Fantastic, Mr. Agarwal. On that note, once again, thank you for those wonderful insights. It's a pleasure to host you.
Thank you.
Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.